Well, boys and girls, here we are on Hump Day, as they call it. Where's Carl the Camel? Hump Day. Remember those commercials? Never mind. That's neither here nor there. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid. And look who we got, boys and girls. Sometimes he's our favorite Amish. Sometimes he's a nightmare Amish. Right now, he is Zachariah Gibbs, our very special guest on STP. Oh, churning
Yeah,
Churning the pot with
and you are
Zachariah.
my guest on churning the pot, Mr. Kincaid.
Yes. Uh, Welcome to the show. Thank you for setting some time aside to talk to us, the fans. Have a little fun. Maybe get to know about Mr. Gibbs a little bit. We like to pull back the curtain just a smidge to see what we can find out about some of our favorite talent on the local scene that we get to check out. So hopefully get to have some fun with us. How is Mr. Zachariah tonight?
I am doing very well. Finished building a barn, and here I am now.
I was going to say two things. Your beard, absolutely beautiful,
Oh,
gorgeous. Second thing, I was wondering why you weren't, because I broke out my suspenders for one Zachariah Gibbs. You've been hard at work building the barn, so I'm not going to ask no questions here, near, or there, So,
well, I figure this is a nice leisure time with one of my great friends and companions, Mr. Kincaid.
oh, love, boys and girls, look at that. A minute and a half, and we're getting love from one Zachariah Gibbs. That's beautiful. I love that. Uh, Mr. Gibbs, I've been following you along the path of your career here. Uh, you've done you've when you first came out, it was all about the crowd making that connection. We talk about that a lot on this show. We're going to be speaking to you about that as well. Connecting with the fans, being the good guy, and then there was kind of a little turbulent spot where we saw a dark side of one Zachariah Gibbs. But now we're kind of seeing again the friendlier side of Zachariah Gibbs. So me personally, I like the friendlier side of Zachariah Gibbs because, boys and girls, I have not been chased not once, but twice by Mr. Gibbs in a long haul over at Shut Up and Wrestle. And kid can run fast, but I can run faster. I'm wiry.
Just a little bit.
Uh,
Just a little bit.
uh, that kind of brings me to a lot of fun that we have at the shows. May you be the heel or the face, the good guy, the bad guy, if you will. You seem to take on either role kindly and really absorb it and work with it. Talk to us about being the good guy here. And I know this is probably a weird spot to start, but I don't write a fucking thing down. I'm sorry. I did not mean to cuss like that. That's my bad. I'm loose lipped sometimes. I'm sorry. Uh, but anywho, uh, take us on this journey of the good guy, bad guy thing, because I've asked this question a bunch of times on this show. Which one do you prefer? Which feels more comfortable to you? And which do you feel that makes a more of a connection with the fans?
Well, hands down, it's the good guy. I love the fans. I love connecting them with them, having them love me, and me giving that love right back. And just win, lose, or draw, they love me. And before I forget, I'll shout out one of my greatest fans, Ryan from XWA. I,
Oh,
w- Especially during my Rumspringer era, I would not win a match very often. But every week he was there in the same spot every Thursday, and he was cheering me on. Win, lose, tie, whether I was there or not, he was cheering for me.
he's a great fan up in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
We are connected on the old face page, and yeah, he's a really supportive, one of those very supportive fans, and it's really awesome that you gave that shout out. Yeah, please continue with the good guy stuff here.
It's just the love fans have for just anything. You can see it in any person, sport, team. It's you really have to mess up for them not to love you, and it's just I don't plan on ever messing up.
Uh, you've been doing a fine job, but we're going to talk about what you just mentioned. The rum what era of
Spring,
Zachariah Gibbs?
Rumspringer.
Yes, rum springer. Yes, Hawaiian shirtish, shorts, looking very vacationy, like he's
Oh,
out on the island. Has a little rum cup, if I'm not mistaken, with a
it's
little
not
sippy
rum.
sippy in there.
It's a pineapple.
Oh,
You,
pineapple, my
you
bad.
may never know what was in that cup.
And that lasted for a few cups of rum. So speak to us about this transition that you were it seemed experimenting with. Is this something you may bring it back? Is it something you put away? What happened there?
Say 2020 is when it started, and what a perfect year to do it. But Rumspringer is when the Amish leave the farm, go out into the real world, see what it's like, and
Okay.
I was like, you know what? I've been in the real world for a while. Let's see what it's got to offer. Let's try and see the whole thing.
All right.
So that usually lasts a year. That's what I did it for, and I was like, real world isn't too much fun. So I'll just head home to Lancaster, and I'll stay there. People a lot nicer.
Yeah, yeah. It seemed as such. You just called it Lancaster. I thought it was pronounced Lenkester or something close to that. No, Lancaster.
It's a Lancaster.
Oh,
Everybody wants to pronounce it this way, try and get one over on everybody, but it's Lancaster.
Lancaster. Wow. Then I'm correcting myself here. I was kind of schooled on that, but I guess it was a pull the wool over DK's eyes on that one. I'll have to message the person that kind of started that, because I've been telling everybody it's Lenkester, and said person laughs her ass off every single time that she sees it. So I'm gonna have to reach out and be like, I'm picking up what you're putting down now. Okay, all right. You got me. She got me, my friend. She got me. Mutual friend between myself and Zachariah Gibbs as well. Um, Now you go through the old Rumspringer. Was it something that you just weren't really feeling, or just weren't really connecting with the fans, and you kind of reverted back to again? You were in the real world, and you just had enough, and you're like, you know what? It's just time to go back to the Amish ways.
Just people just weren't getting it, and they just were also just missing their lovable Amish man with the white button up and the suspenders, and it's just they still liked Rumspringer Zachariah, but
Mhm.
they loved pure Lancaster Amish boy Zachariah.
All right. Because I have seen it. I did not see back in the day at the PWA days, but I have seen you growing as a as a man. It's crazy. Some of these talents, boys and girls, we meet and their age, you could look back on some of the memories the old face page brings back or whatever, and you're like, wow, he looks so young back then. Oh yeah, that's right, because he was young. The years, uh, you see these talents grow up right in front of you, and you don't really notice it. It's like having, a baby. You see that they're growing up, but then you have to look at pictures to kind of really see how fast they have grown. And right in front of our eyes, Zachariah has grown up as a man and as an athlete, in that ring and doing his thing. So going from the Rumspringer, so weird to say that. I don't know why. Uh, and going back to Amish Zachariah Gibbs, you seem to really, that comes a little more natural for yourself, doesn't it?
All right, well, that's the way I was raised.
Hey,
It's how I've lived for over 20 years, and so of course it comes natural.
all
You
right,
know, the whatever was in that pineapple cup and the shades, it just well, it wasn't it. Was
okay. There wasn't any like jackass like me kind of feeding you the rum to say, hey, try this and come, get out of the Amish ways and try the real world kind of thing. I got maybe a doobie of reefer, a doobie of reefer, maybe some alcoholic beverages that they were peer pressuring one Amish Zachariah Gibbs to the other side.
no, none of that in the locker room. All
Okay.
love back there.
Okay.
Everyone does their own thing.
Well, hey, you never know, because these are the things that pull the Amish away from the home. You meet a friend, you start hanging out, you might have a cigarette, and you'd be like, wow, this is You might get in the car and drive like a wild man instead of the horse and buggy. You might get a little feel for that flavor. So I had to ask.
Are you trying to tell me your life story, Kincaid?
Not right now, no. Maybe, maybe off air. Uh, so leaving the Amish, going to the real world, going back to the Amish now. Again, the confusion as a fan, seeing from a distance, you're dressed in all black. You're not the same Zachariah that I've seen previously. You even shaved. Boys and girls, he shaved that beautiful Abe Lincoln right there. How dare he? And I mean, the whole thing, it was all gone. And you became a different persona up here, if you will. You're still Zachariah Gibbs. That's what they announced you as. So you didn't change your name. You kind of changed your gear up because now you're looking like in a full singlet black and you're looking pissed off. You're yelling at us and stuff. What happened, Mr. Gibbs? What gives there?
Well, my return to the Amish did not go very well to start. And that's when I was roped in by Mr. Lucas Chase, who he said he had the cure for me.
Ah.
It was me, him, and our good friend Big Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I thought he had the cure for me, but he was just full of it.
So we were just talking peer pressure earlier. Lucas Chase peer pressured you into maybe changing your ways. Is that what we're taking from that?
I wouldn't say peer pressure. I would say mind manipulation. Even.
Oh, okay. Mind manipulation. Yes. One Lucas Chase, he is a crafty. The Cure. You have to say the whole thing, or he yells at you. The Cure, Lucas Chase. Crafty athlete right there. Looking mighty fine. He has changed his ways over his career, and where he's at is something else. So, I mean, I could see, an impressionable Zachariah Gibbs maybe trying to get on board on something different, Now, PPW, let's kind of bring that back. Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, is that your training, your home base? That's where you've kind of come up as an athlete and as a performer right now?
Yes, I started there when I was 14, and immediately Paul Roma took me right under his wing. And I was just, I don't even want to say under the learning tree. I was just under the learning earth, I would say. Just everything he has in his mind is just nothing short of greatness. And it's just. Right.
No, please continue, because we like to hear, the stories of trainers or their thoughts and their impressions of such, because you have Paul Roma over there. You have Mario Mancini. I was speaking to someone you might be familiar with not that long ago, just this past Friday, of one Skylar Gray. She scares the shit out of me. It is what it is, but she yells loud and she's tough, and that kind of freaks me out. But we spoke with her about Mr. Roma and Mr. Mancini. Very different, very different characters.
Absolutely.
Mr. Roma, just kind of stay on this subject a little bit, so we, the fans, can kind of maybe get inside just a little bit. We don't have to go into details or nothing. But Mr. Roma, a little hard-nosed type of a trainer behind the scenes, if you will.
He's at a very old school, almost a little stuck in his ways, but in a good way. But tough love. He's not going to tell you if you improved unless you actually did. He's not going to tell you that was a little better. He's just going to tell you it sucked until it was 100% great.
All right. As you're training with a guy like Paul Roma, do you know who he is and what he's done previously while you're in the ring at this young age and training and getting the knowledge from said Paul Roma?
A little bit, but when I first got there, I knew Mario more. I knew him better, but once I got with Roma and learned what he's all about, I'm like, all right, I need to know more, because he definitely at least talks a good game. Now, I have to find out if he can back it up, and he most certainly can. He was under the Mr. Fuji learning tree, and it's just, we can be here all day and all night talking about the greatness of Mr. Fuji.
Do you see there's like this, the passing down? We'll just go right down the line from what you've just spoken in that one little sentence right there. That phrase, I'm sorry. Mr. Fuji, Paul Roma, Zachariah Gibbs. I mean, come on, my man. You know, and I'm not saying, you know, whatever Fuji knew, he showed everything to Mr. Roma, and whatever Mr. Roma knows, he hasn't shown everything to Mr. Gibbs. But that passing down of the knowledge, it's very prevalent right in front of us as we speak to Mr. Gibbs right now. I mean, that's got to be pretty cool knowing that you're under, and that's what they say. If you're going to look for a school, don't look for one of your friends or someone who might have been in the business for a couple of years who thinks he's a trainer or what have you. Look for somebody who's been in the business, who's been established, and who has that knowledge to bring, you know, give back to the students and mold fine students out of the PAPW facility. So I feel with what I've seen with his students, and good hands over there with Paul Roma and such. And then you just spoke of Mr. Mancini. First off, as I said to Miss Skylar Gray, his laugh, holy caroli, that thing is just infectious. You could hear it for probably 5 miles long. Isn't that something? His laugh is just, it hits me in my heart every time I hear it.
Mario's laugh is, if you hear it 5 miles away, you're just going to start laughing. You don't know why, you just will.
No, excuse me. I know each trainer has their own ways and their own presentation and what they're teaching you, compared to what Roma is kind of teaching you. If you could, I mean, if it's too much behind the scenes, you don't have to. But what are we getting from Mr. Mancini under his learning tree?
I do not spend much time with Mancini.
Oh.
Because I came from Pro Wrestling Academy, I went straight to Roma. The way PAPW is, if Mario is more the basics, bump, chain, tackles. So I knew pretty much everything Mario could teach me. So that's where I went straight to Roma, and immediately he just saw me and just like, I can teach this kid.
Nice. Let's talk about the PWA days, because I was there at the very end of their tenure, and they were running every single Friday previous to me going. I was going when they started running every other Friday over in Cheshire, and I'm assuming that's where your tenure started towards the end of PWA. Is that correct?
No, way before that. I was there when they were in New Haven, Connecticut.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I started with Joseph Von Schmidt and Buzz Butzlaw, and I was the reason they had a youth program. Because I would go into the gym and watch them a little bit, and I was just like, why can't I do that? So Von Schmidt gathered a couple other youngsters, and we were off to the races. And
that's so cool.
Hey, if you can also ask Mr. Jabroni, wherever he may be, about this, because he was there too. I know.
Well, I always hate when people bring up his name, because it does make me sad. But he's out there somewhere. I know he's out there somewhere, and I'll hold you to that. I will ask him when I do see him, whenever or wherever. I'll definitely ask, because what the uniqueness I've spoken of a bunch of times on STP, and for you that don't know, PWA was Pro Wrestling Academy CT out of Cheshire, Connecticut, when I was going at their tail end. And it was in a nice, intimate area. It was really cool. You kind of walk through the door, you go down this little, or walk down, or it was like a little rampy area, and you go up to...
You took a walk through the door. To the left was a little ramp. That's where the desk was. Pay your ticket, and right there were seats in the ring.
It was a beautiful, nice, decent-sized room with a ring with probably maybe 40 or so chairs, or 50 chairs set up at times. You never know, because, it was intimate. And Test of Strength would be the next best thing, because that's what I compare all the intimate settings to right now, is Test of Strength. PWA was a little bit bigger than over at their dojo, but it was a really, really cool setting, and it was so cheap. holy crap, they had these family pack of tickets for barely like maybe $8 for like 4 tickets or something. I forget what the price is, but it was ridiculously cheap. And I just want to set it up real quick where if you're sitting in your seat, you're looking at the ring to your left, all the good guys would stand against the wall or in between the space where the ring and the wall was. On the right side, again, in between the ring and the wall, were the bad guys lined up, okay? Now you would get the MC Mikey or something like that, right?
Oh my! I forgot they would stand next to the ring. All the good guys.
But they had an MC or a host, if you will, and he would get in the ring and he would call numbers. All right. Now the wrestlers, and this was like totally legit. This is, no wrestling or nothing. They never knew who they were going to wrestle because the company would never tell them because they wanted it to be truly this cool, unique lottery system, if you will, because they're just picking random numbers. So say they pick number 1 and number 7. Whoever had number 1 and number 7, it could have been Dickie Moon against Dan the Man. You just never knew who you were going to get that night. And man, what a ton of fun. A lot of uniqueness surrounding PWA. Really cool. And you were there firsthand seeing the transition of PWA. So that had to be pretty cool.
It was very interesting. I forgot all about that. You're bringing back so many memories, but once they moved to Cheshire, that was more the beginning of the end where I started looking at PAPW a little more.
Okay.
And eventually, unfortunately, PWA did close shop. But there's always those rumors. Every once in a while, they're going to open again and stuff.
Well, I mean, if we could just digress just a smidge. When the world shut down, I started doing the Skypes. Okay. Now, before things really, really got crazy, I actually did the one and only I actually have ever done. I did a selfie stirring the pot. And me and Miss Kara Scarfo, we walked through the old stomping grounds. We went to the old PWA in Cheshire and we met up over there and we just walked around. And I interviewed her. It was a beautiful sunny day. We talked a lot of PWA and we talked Miss Scarfo and got her background and whatnot and all of that good stuff. But she was talking that they were going to be coming back in late summer of 2020. So this is right before the world shut down. And then that got shit canned right there. So then they were supposed to do another one in like September there was one in spring and April in Georgia. Then there was another one going to be late summer, early fall. That's what it was in Connecticut. So they were going to do 2 shows, but they both got all the old kibosh because of the King COVID. The King COVID! But I didn't know if you were aware of that presentation that they were trying to come back for at least a couple shows to see if they could get that bite. And they were bringing back the Sebastian Cages and, the Azriels. And they were trying to like bring PWA back for these couple shows. And they were willing to bring people down to Georgia from up here. There was probably a handful that they were going to bring down. So that would have been pretty cool.
I heard the rumors. I saw some of the things online, but I didn't pay attention too much.
I'm a fan. I bit right onto that shit like a fish. I was all ready to see me some PWA because that brings the likes of Foggy. He was at every single one of those. That brings the likes of one Shane Fair. If his schedule would allow it, he was at all of those. Some of the fans that I met there before I even really, really started getting heavy into it. Oh man, we had a lot of fun at PWA and I miss it so much. It would be so cool if they could maybe at least bring a couple shows back to life. We'll see. I didn't mean to go on a PWA tangent there, but they hold a little place in my heart and I miss them so much. Let's kind of bring to head where the character, and some say it's not a character, it's just me turned up to 1,000,000 or 1,000 or 11 or whatever you want to say. And I know we've already discussed Amish to the real world, basically, back to on it because there is no real world. I mean, there's a glitch in the matrix on that.
There
But
certainly seems like it.
you you go back, you live the ways that you've grown up for so many years, and Lancaster, not Lenkester. And maybe that's what I'll call this. It's not called Lenkester. Maybe that's what I'll call this episode. So I mean, this character of Zachariah Gibbs, and we've already spoken of Mr. Roma. He seems to be a bigger portion, a bigger part in your career behind the scenes than probably most for the training and stuff, or if any. Was this a help between yourself and Paul Roma? Did you guys talk about this? Was this something that he brought to the table and say, hey, kid, I think this would be perfect for you? How did that come about?
I believe we were at training one day, and him and Holiday were trying to think of something.
Ooh, Richard Holiday.
Yes, Richard Holiday. And I want to say it was Richard Holiday, just out of the air, just found it, and rest is history. We just ran with it. But
really,
yeah. But
when they're asking you to be Amish, are you like, are you crazy, or are you like, I can do that?
I was like, yeah, if it gets me on a show, why not? And like anything else, I had to develop it. If you watch, God, how many of my very early match, I don't think I say a word. I really don't. And then this is where Rumspringer helped a bit, got me out of that shell.
Okay.
And then,
yeah, because you were jaw jacking a little bit, not in a bad way, but you kind of you did change there. You had a little pep in your step, and I have to feel that it was due to the rum in that pineapple. But hey, who am I to say?
Rumspringer definitely helped bring out more character to the Amish than just what you saw. Mm-hmm. It was a person with holding that bar turn and wearing those suspenders. But having Roma right there at Gorilla was always a great motivator.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've told this to many people, but after my match at Mohegan Sun, the second one, where it was myself, Sergeant Murray, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan against the Pyramids of Power, at one point, I was more worried about what Paul was going to think of the match than of the actual match.
Okay, now let's just pause there for a minute, because that brings up a great topic. In the back of your mind, your focus is more of what your trainer, your mentor is thinking or going to think of post-match, what his thoughts are going to actually be. So take us, the fans, through this, because we're not in the ring. We don't go through these motions. It's got to be really hard to focus and be in that moment in the ring, when kind of in the back of your head, you're like, man, I hope I do Papa Roma proud. So is it hard to focus during a match when you're in that kind of environment and you're kind of thinking of what, Mr. Roma is already going to be thinking about?
It varies match to match. I know for this particular match, Roma went to great lengths to put me in that match. And I won't go through all the details, but
no.
He really put up a fight to get me in that match. So I knew I needed to go out and perform and do my very best. The odds were stacked against me a little bit. Main event, 6-man tag with WWE Hall of Famer. I gotta go out and do my thing. So that's probably one of the most nervous I've been. But after a while, you know what you can do. You know how to try to word this. Go through a match.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's not gonna give you a Dave Meltzer review. All I need from him is that was good, or a thumbs up, because to him, that's all I need.
And you don't always want the hey, good kid. And I know he's probably one of, if besides yourself, one of your biggest critics, maybe post-match or what have you. But the good and the bad feedback, I wish some of these talents out there would just embrace both. because a lot of them, when you get some of that, and I'm not calling it negative feedback, but it's not a that was awesome, that was great, great job, it was a fun match. You need to hear really honest feedback at times, especially when you need to hear it is post match, and you want to be your worst critic, but then you're looking at Paul Roma, and hearing honest feedback is what you need as an athlete. I mean, I cannot be wrong there, Mr.
Oh,
Gibbs.
you're 100% right. Some people just want the, hey, that was a good match, great job. And I'll be honest, I'll sometimes be in the back and I'll say, hey, great match, and high five somebody. I won't even watch the match. Yeah,
You can't watch them all.
right. I'm more just being, a good guy, good colleague, just, making them happy and stuff. But uh, one of my sayings is I try and take everyone's advice, no matter if it's, the first guy in the card, the last guy in the card, you, Roma. It's like, I'll take it, I'll let it rattle around in my brain, and if I think it's valid, I'll see what I can do with that. If not, I just throw it away.
It's good. Take it all in, filter it a little bit, and see what you get at the end of it. Not not bad process, my friend. It's seeming to be working for one Amish Zachariah Gibbs. Now, if you're gonna do an Amish character gimmick, however you want to perceive it, you gotta take this and you have to own it. You have to embrace it. You cannot mess around and do it half-ass. You have to really take something like that within wrestling and really own it. Um, do you feel that you're still in development with Zachariah, or do you feel, I mean, there's always learning. That's basically the motto is wrestling. You never ever stop learning, and I get that. But do you feel like you're kind of in a good groove and in a better groove than where you found yourself previously with Zachariah Gibbs?
Pre Rumspringer, where I was the champion, really, from the beginning through my two championship reigns, that was prime Zachariah. Post that, through Rumspringer, that was kind of the downfall a little bit. But now I'm finding that footsteps. It's once I go through that curtain, I'm in that groove. It's just building off of it and trying to get back to the top spot.
I'm going to pick out one, two, three things.
Mm.
When you come through the curtain, there's obviously a few things that happen. First off, and before you hit the curtain, is the music. Talk to us about the music and why.
There's Amish Paradise by Weird Al. What, can't choose anything else. It would be a sin.
Was that something that you were like, I have to have that as my entrance theme, or was that a suggestion, or how did that come about?
It was a have to have because it
Okay.
just once people hear it, like most people have heard it a couple times, whether they're a Weird Al fan or not. They know probably both versions, if not just that version. So immediately it gets them thinking, all right, what's this guy? Who is him? Who is he? And then once I walk through the curtain, everything ties itself together. Amish guy, Zachariah Gibbs, Lancaster, the whole shebang.
Oh, goodness. Very distinctive, though. You know, boys and girls, our favorite people that we see on TV and such, and even on the indies, we know their theme music. We we know when Zachariah Gibbs is coming through that curtain with Amish Paradise. Oh, crap. Second thing, the butter churner. Where did that come from? And I know sometimes the wrestlers want to use props. Was it something that you kind of had to double think about? Did you really embrace it right off the ripper? What's with the butter churner?
Once I found one, it was like, all right, how many other people are going to come out with a butter churn? No, it was just, and again, it goes back to it ties everything together. And then it's fun. It's funny to have, people love churning the butter. When I have a tag partner, I get them going, and it adds to the wrestling and the entertainment.
Hmm.
But I have gone through now 3 butter churns.
Oh wow. From being smashed maybe on somebody or yourself,
Um,
or
the
what are
first
we
one
talking?
was when I swept Buzz Bloodsaw through it,
Okay.
and the second one was a dark match that is somewhere out there in the world against Stevie Legend,
Oh,
and
okay.
we had a churn off, and he smashed the bottom of the barrel.
Where is this Chernoff? We gotta find it. Oh my god.
It was recorded. It's somewhere in the universe, and I'm sure one day it will be released.
I, that's going to be one of my posts. Where is the Chernoff between Zachariah Gibbs and Stevie Legend footage? Yes,
I
I
think
will
if you
post
look
that.
really close, you might see El Jabroni in that footage.
I love El Jabroni. Don't scare me like that. I mean, come on, stop saying his name. It makes me pop like crazy. Um, Third thing, you do a thing within the ring and you turn butter in a circle of that ring. Where did that come from? And what are we doing there? Churning butter?
Yeah, yeah. So we are churning butter, but I think I just did it one day. Just I was coming alive in a match, and I just did it. It stuck, and people wait for it, and they love it.
Boys and girls, I see Zachariah Gibbs come out, not only through his entrance, but when he gets in and he does that thing, even when he fires up, as they say, and he does that thing to get himself amped up like the old Hulk Hogan thing before he goes and attacks and gets some comeback on his opponent here. The kids, it's amazing to see the kids churning butter. I think it's some of the most hilarious stuff I've ever seen in wrestling, and I absolutely love it. You must see the kids churning butter, yes?
I do sometimes out of the corner of my eye, but I know they're doing it. And it goes back to earlier on. It's that connection with the fans. There's nothing like it in the world.
I absolutely I haven't seen it with the kids in a while. I hope it makes its way back because that is so much fun to see. The kids just have a blast with it. Uh, I want to revert back to something you said a little bit earlier on. you, you have your tag team partners churn the butter in the butter churn.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't sound in any way nefarious or in any way weird, or it's just tag team partner churning butter. That's the way it sounds because my man physically has a butter churner and his partner churns the butter. Well, let's flash back to this past Coliseum Pro Wrestling event. It was Course of Honor. I want to get that correct. It was my first CPW show. This is their second show. They debuted previously, obviously. And here comes Mr. Mr. Zachariah Gibbs and the guy, Jack Dalton. Now, I spoke to and interviewed Mr. Dalton last Thursday. So this happened between that interview and this interview. Now, they come out to the ring together as a tag team. It's the Guy and Zachariah show, if I'm not mistaken. And almost look in uniform, have matching T-shirts and everything. It looked fantastic. I was into it. Guy's theme music is "Stroke Me" by Billy Squier. Now, from my vantage point in my footage, I have the camera. It's rolling. Mr. Dalton, again, I want to reiterate the "Stroke Me" by Billy Squier. There's no words happening at the time. The music is going on. All of a sudden, Billy Squier starts singing "Stroke Me." Mr. Dalton has stroked the first stroke, and he's hammering on that bad boy. From my vantage point, Zachariah is kind of holding the butter churn right here. Just saying. And boy, oh boy, I yell, "Hey, this is a family show!" And then I kind of reiterate It's a family show. These memories, these memories, they happen by accident. That was so circumstantial. It would never happen by default, if you will, by by the way of let's try this. You can't write that kind of stuff, my
Yeah.
man. And I know I've been talking for a minute about it, but these are the memories for me as a fan that I take away that just kind of get and branded and never leave. Tons of fun, my friend. And I know some of these things you take away from the events. There has to be something. Maybe you could tell a little anecdote or a story, a memory that you've taken away from wrestling at this point, because you've you've been around for more than a couple years here. We're going to get into that, which because we have not. But is there a memory from an event with a fan or the match itself that you could maybe talk to us about?
There's just so many, but one that comes top of my head back to the fan connections. This was early Rumspringer. I probably lost the match, and as I'm leaving the arena, I just hear these two kids just running up behind me, and they're just so excited to see me. They want my autograph and a picture, and it just turned my whole night around. Just made me feel 10 feet high and just like the happiest man on earth. But there's just again, there's so many great stories. I'll tell this one, which was probably how wrestling just becomes a full circle. My father knew Mario Mancini when they were both about teenagers, 18, 19 years old. My father worked at a video store, and Mario would always come in and rent stuff from the back room, the adult section. So my father, with his sister and mother, would always go to New Haven Coliseum to see Mario wrestle and obviously all the other guys.
Nice.
So 30 years passes by. They haven't seen or spoken to each other in that time. And Mancini is at a PWA event. And anyone that knows Mario knows his memory is just amazing.
Yeah.
So once my dad talks to him for probably less than 30 seconds, he just instantly remembers the video store guy and the whole thing. So that was, I don't know, maybe when I was 11, 12. So flash forward to 2018 when I wrestle him in Mohegan Sun. My dad's just sitting there with his mother, just amazed. Just, who would have thought watching Mario in New Haven Coliseum, he'd be wrestling my son at Mohegan Sun, 30, 40 years later.
Thank you so much for that. That story is just beautiful. I absolutely love that one. That's good stuff. Zachariah, we wouldn't hear these things getting a T-shirt or getting an autograph and such. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was beautiful. Excuse me. You've wrestled at Mohegan Sun not once but twice, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I've been at both shows, different shows both times, different turnouts both times, different atmosphere both times. That first one, my man, the energy was absolutely just irreplaceable. I will never forget it. And you guys, as a company, I say PAPW, we're just so absolutely super, super duper stoked. I can't even put it into words, probably, for all of you as a collective. To be able to go into that casino, into one of the convention rooms over there, and put on a wrestling event. Can you talk to us about the excitement that was rolling around with PAPW? Because you guys had to have been on cloud nine for this show, man.
Dude, that time and then later on that August, it was just immeasurable. But the funny part is, when I got in the ring, I was just so nervous, locked in, concerned that it was just like everything was blocked out. It was just me, Mario in the ring. And that was just like nothing. It could have been 100 people, it could have been 1,000 people. It was just, I don't even know. But
losing yourself in the match. It's easy to do, especially in an environment like that when you're going against one of your mentors being Mancini. And it happens more than once, I would imagine, in any athlete's career. Getting lost in that moment, and you don't hear our cheers or our boos or our whatever's going on. It's almost kind of like hearing blinders from what I've been told from the athletes. Is that correct, I'm saying?
Yes. Do you remember in that match the first clothesline I gave Mario?
Offhand, I can't say, but I do remember the match, but I don't remember that
If you
specifically.
go back and watch that match, the first one I give him makes this pop that that was just so loud. Everyone just like went, oh, I didn't even hear it. You know, just this boom. Everyone reacts. No idea it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is just so crazy how that can happen. Just that amazing. These are one of those things that amazes me of being an athlete, a performer, that just astonishes me because, well, I don't want to say really to a degree it does, because I mean, I've been up on the live stage for a bunch of years and doing my thing and with the guitar and whatnot. And I've lost myself up there and such. But I usually, it was harder. It's harder for me to see the people that are out there, because not only are there lights behind you, but a lot of the times the lights are in front of you, and you get these lights on you and you can't see for shit. Like literally, you just see the end of where the monitors are when you're up on stage playing. But I always have felt a connection from us and whoever is out there for the most part. But you definitely, as a musician, you can obviously get lost. But I think I had too much stuff going on up here because I was the sound guy on the fly, and I always wanted everything to be correct and hopefully. So I always had sound, the soundboard on my brain as I'm playing these shows. But that is just really, again, great stories. I just love those. Now I know you've traveled the roads a few times here and there, obviously, with one Mr. Mancini and or Mr. Roma. Uh, is there any? And there's got to be one story legally, because we don't want nobody in trouble here. A legal little maybe antidote, funny haha story on the road with one Mr. Mancini or company, if you will. There's got to be one, maybe even two if you want to.
I guess not so world famous, but famous Waffle House story.
Okay.
Now, have you actually ever heard this story?
I have not.
Oh my! All right. So this is 2019, August 2019. It's Roma, Mario, Marcel Williams, myself, in the House of Pain in one car, my father, brother, and Ref Bill in another. And we're all going to Indiana together. Oh yeah. So,
Oh, wow.
15 to 20-hour drive. We leave at night, drive all night to get there. Now it's, I don't know, 6 a.m. I'm in the back, like half asleep because I stayed up just, talking with the guys the whole time. And all of a sudden, everyone just starts screaming about Waffle House. We missed the Waffle House. We missed the Waffle House. So eventually we pull off and we go into this gas station. Mario and Roma walk in, they walk back out. It's like, we asked the lady behind the counter about Waffle House, and she's like, you're in corn country now. So we're just completely lost. No Waffle House in sight. Somehow Bill gets blamed for this whole thing. I don't know how or why, but we all just blame Bill.
Probably deserved it.
Probably. So eventually we chug along and we go into Bob Evans, and they pretty much kicked us out. Because now imagine you're in Indiana and you see 10 big wrestlers just walk into your restaurant. Yeah, that wasn't happening. So we go to this little breakfast nook or whatever it was called Mama's Place. It is probably as big as Testa Strength Dojo. Maybe it is not the biggest place. And again, you've lived in Indiana probably your whole life, and all of a sudden these 10 big, hungry, tired wrestlers come in. It's like, and we eventually get a table, and we're laughing and making a bit of a ruckus. And it's just like they're all just staring at us, like, what is going on? But well, that is probably the not so world famous Waffle House story.
As big as a TOS dojo. I can totally picture all of you guys in a very intimate setting as the dojo, but to eat breakfast or food. That's pretty freaking hilarious. Oh man. Doing the tribes though, they say, the wrestling is where, that's what we want to do and all of that stuff. But the drives with the boys, if you will, is probably even sometimes surpasses what you do and sometimes accomplish in said ring. The memories that you guys make and stuff on the road, equal. Do you kind of feel it's equal with the wrestling and itself, or do you feel one kind of outweighs itself?
I would say overall it equals, but some days it definitely surpasses it. And it's like you don't even care about the wrestling show. You were just happy you got to spend all that time with the boys.
It's awesome. Very, very cool. Um, now you've been at PAPW for how long now?
5 to 6 years.
Okay. Is this something that you're looking to do for a livelihood for yourself and your family? Or is this something that you're looking to do to maybe be an indie wrestler and you're comfortable with that setting? Where in the long term is Zachariah Gibbs as a wrestler?
I have to make it to the top. I don't want
Okay.
to be that guy. I don't want to say names, but I don't want to be that guy that everyone says should have been there, could have been there. I gotta get there.
Okay. So it's the big picture or no picture for one Zachariah Gibbs.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of companies out there. We have a lot of choices, and obviously, it's been WWE for years and years until, as of late, probably the past 10 years or so, there's been a lot of different things happening in wrestling. What would be a preference, or does it really matter, or where could you see yourself comfortably?
I don't watch all the promotions, so I don't know what would best suit Zachariah Gibbs if they just all called at the same time, just to
Okay.
say. But to me, it's WWE is still the be all end all.
Okay.
No matter how bad the ratings are, the sales, they're still the top of the mountain, and they're never going to be dethroned. So
Many say that. Then there's a flip side to that, and many also say that this might be the beginning of the end of WWE. But I don't think there's ever going to be such a thing, to be honest with you, my friend. I mean, that's just me. That's IMY in my opinion. IMO in my opinion. I don't know. I don't see the disappearance of WWE, especially now with Triple H taking some of those creative reins and making some of the talent feel a little bit different than they were these past couple years. So who knows, man? This might be a resurgence. This might be a little more of an upcoming of one WWE. You never know.
I definitely agree. If you want to look at the big picture, let's say, just for giggles, it can't be much worse, as they say. So it can literally only get better. It can only go up. And again, the change of guard, which everybody's been wanting for years and years, which I didn't think it would have happened.
No way.
Yeah.
Not in my lifetime. That's for damn sure. And I know Vince is 70 something, but I really thought I would have never seen what we've had, the stuff we've been seeing the past few weeks now. So it's livelihood. Now the reason why I ask is because not obviously, because it doesn't happen to everybody. But usually when the dub grabs a hold of you, they usually do their spin on the talents and give a name and maybe give a gimmick. But with what you're doing right now, and I know it's a different animal than the big dub, NWA, with what you're doing, I think would absolutely be nothing but perfect with the nostalgia and the way their setting is in the studio, and their crowd, their viewership is always growing. And I know it's a totally different animal than the big dub, but man, I would such a perfect fit with the Amish Zachariah
Yeah.
Gibbs in the NWA. Have you watched the new NWA product at all? At all since it's been out?
I watched maybe like the first episode or so, but I don't watch it. I keep up with everything, I see who's wearing, doing what with what belts, but
Mhm.
if you think so, I'll definitely have to give it a look.
All right.
Yeah.
Uh, we
But
have one of our. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
but obviously, whoever calls first is like what I like to say. Whether it be Impact, AEW, NWA.
Yeah, man. Uh, right now, one of our local guys that's been hot in the NWA scene over there is one Wrecking Ball Gursky. He's been making his waves, and he's been over there as a kind of as an NWA staple, for right now it seems. So he's doing fantastic things over there with Jay Bradley, the Fixers. You need something fixed? They got you. uh, two things before I let you go. Shit, I forgot one of them. So I'll go to the other one. I want to get back to Mr. Dalton, if I may, because I really do have to kind of not put a nail in this coffin, because I know this will not be done by YouTube by any stretch right now. This might just be the beginning. When I interviewed Mr. Dalton, he said you guys were childhood friends, like way, way back, and you disappeared out of nowhere. The next time he heard or seen of anything Zachariah Gibbs was via carrier pigeon, and there was a note. He heard a noise at the door. There was a note, and it was a message from one Zachariah Gibbs from the Amish country, and he had no clue where the hell you've been, and he just figured out Zachariah Gibbs is Amish. Where is this dude? Come on! But you messaged him and wanted him to be your tag team partner. You guys, as we've spoken, were tag team partners at CPW. He did a turn, a swerve, if you will. And then not only that, was a little post-match action and kind of stomped on you a little bit. I was feeling sorry for one Zachariah Gibbs. That's uncalled for. A little afterbirth, if you will, as they say. But this thing with Dalton, can we go back? First off, are you guys childhood friends?
Yes,
Or was it just going? Oh,
this
go
is
ahead.
another full circle moment where again, childhood friends. He likes to say he got me into wrestling. Maybe he did. He definitely helped, but
Okay.
we would always talk about, we always wrestle in the backyard and stuff. And then his first match ever, I believe you were there, was at Shut Up and Wrestle. I don't know what number it was.
I missed two of them in a row, and Mr. Dalton made his debut and came back for the next one, and I missed both of them.
Well, that was his first ever match against who other than me. And that's one where, the families came out and it was like, oh my God, another great, full circle moment, which my career feels like it's full of them, which, we can talk about later or different interview, whatever. But yeah, so childhood trends, CPW wanted me to find a partner.
Mm-hmm.
I found the guy. Who else? And when I made that tag, I think if he didn't distract me and, was running his mouth, which he likes to do, I could have had it like I said I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
But he kept going and going, and look at the result.
And that was for a qualifying match to get to the end of the evening, or towards the end of the evening, and become the first ever CPW Tag Team Champions. And it kind of messed it all up for you guys.
Well, I'm sure all he does is blame me, but I think it's his fault. He should have just accepted the tag, and just let me go out there and finish off Hunter Tarka.
And speaking of Battle Academy, right there, Hunter Tarka and Lorenzo Vendetta, along with Skylar Gray, the very first ever CPW Tag Team Champions. I've given them congratulations before. That was my first. Love to see some of the familiar faces. Saw a couple people I did not know. Saw Nutrius X. I haven't seen him in a long time. I mean, holy cow! Well, in the main event against the champ, one Lucas, the Cure, Lucas Chase. So that was an interesting evening for myself as a fan. Good stuff, and I can't. The return, if I may, 19 August 20 and August 21. Now that the date has been moved for Shut Up and Wrestle, those 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have Bridgeport for Coliseum Pro Wrestling, and then we have Bridgeport for Blood, Sweat, Tears on Saturday. Then we have Shut Up and Wrestle 24 and Holyoke. We've got some wrestling that weekend coming up. Is Zachariah Gibbs on any of those cards that you're aware of at this point?
I've been talking with CPW management about Jack Dalton and I on August 19th. Think that's going to happen. I don't believe I am on Blood, Sweat, and Tears the day after. I did not realize Shut Up and Wrestle was that Sunday, so I definitely might make a phone call or two.
Okay. We just broke some news of Zachariah Gibbs.
And then just yesterday, I was confirmed for August 13th at the North Haven Fairgrounds. Ooh. I'll be wrestling.
Yeah, please. That's the debut of.
I don't even remember what it's called.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, come on, Mr. Gibbs. It's Tetsu Pro Wrestling. It's the debut of TPW.
People tell me there's wrestling, I go. I don't know the company sometimes.
You got to stay on the talent sometimes, boys and girls, because they do have a lot on their plate. I mean, I can't give them shit for it. You know, sometimes you got a busy schedule. It is what it is, you know. So, well, glad I could inform you on where you're wrestling, if possibly, on August 21st, and get you informed on that Tetsu brand spanking new, starting in Connecticut, wrestling promotion there. So we'll see how that goes. Should be interesting. Seeing some of the characters out there. It's pretty cool. Before I do let you go, and I still cannot for the life of me think of that second question I want to ask you besides Mr. Dalton. Pisses me off. Before I do let you go, how do we find the Amish one himself, Zachariah Gibbs, on the old social medias? Maybe the Twitter or the OnlyFans. I don't know what you got going on over there. You know, whatever it is, please hit us with the details so we can get the fans that know you, just to make sure, and the fans that don't know you, we want to get them on board.
For Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it is at Amish Gibbs for all three, the exact same one. Make it nice and easy for you.
Thanks.
And go to YouTube, Zachariah Gibbs, ProWrestlingTees.com/Zach Gibbs.
You know, you have some T-shirts, and my favorite, and I still have not gotten it. Shame on me. I will fix that. That Zachariah Gibbs, that's in a homage of AC/DC, is absolutely fire. I really, really want that shirt. I got to get it.
You can get it now. Save 20% at ProWrestlingTees.com/Zach Gibbs.
Oh, wow. I may have to look into such. Look at that. Breaking news both ways. Now, Zach, thank you so much for spending the time with us, the fans, opening up not only about your career and where it started, where it's going, what you're looking for in the long term, but you took us a little bit behind the scenes. Then you took us on a little roller coaster ride of where Zachariah was our favorite Amish, then he was a Rumspringer, then he was our not so favorite Amish, then he's back to our favorite Amish. So thank you for the stories and everything, and being open and candid with the fans here on SCP. I appreciate everything you've said in your time.
Oh, I had such a great time. It took you long enough to ask me, Mr. Kincaid, but I did have a great time, and I would love to do it again.
I would love the return, because You never know. Could revert back to that thing. You never know, because Lucas Chase, again, very crafty guy. He's easily, you can get behind him. I've seen people do it. One Gibbs especially. We gotta make sure that never happens again. Boys and girls, we went all the way through memory lane with Zachariah Gibbs through Lancaster, PA, not Lenkester. I can't wait to title that this episode that. This has been Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, the Amish one, Zachariah Gibbs. Thank you one more time, my friend.
Thank you, Don. I had a blast.